strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
Hello, audience. My name is Timothy Melbinger, and as of the date of this recording, I am a professor of music at Penn State University in the United States of America. I got my doctorate in music theory and composition from a place called Brandeis University, and I also studied at Cal Irvine. I play piano and I write a lot of music as well. We will get to that at some point because I think you will like it. But look, one of the things I've been doing for over 30 years now is describing what it is about a song or some piece of music, and from different styles of music, that listeners find so attractive and why I think the music works. You see, rather than just talking about lyrics, and there's a lot to talk about with lyrics, don't get me wrong, but I want to talk about the notes and rhythms, okay? What is objectively there in the music. And I'll be making interpretations and emotional judgments all over the place, but they will be grounded in the notes and rhythms, the music itself, okay? Now, I know everyone brings a different level of musical knowledge to the table here. I'm going to try to present my analysis in plain English every time, okay? With the hopes that then nearly everyone can walk away from this with, more information about what is there in the music, and ideally the ability to enjoy the song more, because that's what it's all about. In the end, that's what the artist is trying to do, and that's why we're listening. So try to pick up on concepts you might be able to hear in the music, and as how it might pertain to other songs as well, okay? For it's unlikely that the idea I'm talking about, the musical technique, is exclusive to just this song. Now, I'll be analyzing songs from an embarrassingly wide range of styles, and partly because I would like to make the point that there are good songs or pieces of music everywhere and at all times and places, okay? Paying attention to it more is always a good use of your time. As in all art, you are approaching something outside of yourself that someone else has created and trying to solve the puzzle of why it's there, why that person brought it into existence, and then what it can tell you about not only yourself, but people in general. And then my largest point will be that in a sense, all music is sacred, for ideally, we use it as special time, okay? It's set apart from the mundane activities of the day. When you do that, it's called transcendence, and it's something that makes your life better, and if we all did it a little more, it would make the world a lot better. Also, I take requests. Use the comments to tell me about songs that are important to you, and if I can, when I can, I will get to them and tell you why I think those songs have survived for so long and why they will probably continue to survive so long in this ocean of music out there. So, on to today's song. It's called People Are Strange by The Doors. It was the first single from The Doors' album called Strange Days in 1967, the follow-up to their debut effort, and it sold less than the first record, although the band's popularity was still growing. The song is sort of the title track, and it seems to have been written primarily by Jim Morrison, the singer, and guitarist Robbie Krieger, although credit is given on the publication, on the CD as well, to all four members of the band, which includes John Dunsmore on drums and Ray Manzarek on keyboards. It was recorded in Hollywood, California, produced by a guy named Paul Rothschild and mixed by Bruce Botnick. Um, at this time, 1967, those producers, as well as the members of the band, would have been familiar with the Beatles' groundbreaking Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and were most likely emboldened to take chances during the recording to do something new, and I think they were successful in at least this song. Um, One more thing, the song received a boost in popularity 20 years later from a movie called The Lost Boys. Remember? Vampire movie from the 80s, right? 1987. The band re-recording the song was Echo and the Bunnymen, and the song is much like the original. In fact, it was produced by um, Ray Manzarek, the keyboard player of the Doors. Okay, so in addition to those instruments I've already described, we have studio musician Douglas Luban adding an upright bass part. Okay, this is not standard for rock music. You would expect electric bass guitar, right? Well, what is this thing? Hey, let me show you. Where's my picture? It's this one. It's this guy on the left. You stand up. It's called upright bass because you actually stand behind it and reach around it and pluck the strings with your fingers here and, well, finger the pitches you want with your other hand. You can play it with a bow, but in this song, he's going to play it with his fingers. Here's electric bass guitar, which we would expect from rock music. So my point is that it's not a strange instrument overall, as it's found in nearly every orchestra, and it's found in every jazz ensemble, for that matter. But it's strange for rock. Okay? So let's talk about the lyrics. Morrison wrote the lyrics, at least he reported, just after taking a walk while being depressed one day and returning home energized with ideas for the song. Fortunately, this is one of those songs where the lyrics really do matter, and that's not always the case in rock. But I'll be spending a little time talking about the lyrical themes here. Okay, so we can read many aspects of alienation into this text, and I think that's a safe interpretation. One plausible interpretation, then, seems to be that the depressed person has strange feelings of alienation when walking around in public spaces among people who at least don't appear to have mental illness. Okay, this would have been the case for Morrison. Okay. Now, also, we're talking about the late 60s, and the Doors, keep in mind, were a big part of what we call the acid rock movement. And, well, they were known for drug use. It's not exactly clear how Morrison died, but most people think drugs played some kind of part. Okay, anyway, if you're in a haze of drug use, in all likelihood, you're encountering people who are not in public, and you're going to have at least feelings of paranoia or feelings that you're strange, or maybe they're the strange ones. Hard to say, because he uses both instances in the songs, right? That you feel strange and that other people are strange when you're a stranger. Okay? And then finally, we could extrapolate the feeling of alienation to a broader context, okay? We can all, well, maybe not all of us, but many of us have visited a foreign country, and during that time, you feel out of place, strange, okay? You're conscious of it. You're very clear. It's very clear to you that at one level you don't belong, and that and it changes the way you move. It changes the way you think and speak, doesn't it? Okay? But really, any listener, if you think about it, can find some common ground with the song and feelings of alienation, just living your life, right? because everyone feels out of place at some time, whether that's just a state of mind you have, you're confused. Um, if you're in a meeting where you don't know what's going on, if you walk into a school where you're trying to learn, or someone else's school, right? Maybe a church that you're not familiar with, across the tracks, right? In another part of town, when you're in a new city where you sort of know how things work, but not really, you're just getting to know the street names, a new state, a new country, or an entirely new hemisphere. Okay? Most of us at some times have an opportunity to feel like a stranger. So I think the song resonates, or has the potential to resonate with everyone. Okay, so before getting to the notes and rhythms, one more aspect of the lyrics I want to point out that I find just delicious. Okay? He says at one point, "Women seem wicked when you're unwanted." Okay? Now, that line has 4 W's packed into it: women, wicked, when, and unwanted, right? The W's in the middle of unwanted, but still, it's clear. Okay? This is the poetic device known as alliteration. And while Morrison does not continue this for the rest of the song, we have at least this one to chew on. Okay, so it's a pleasure just to speak that line. And the return of the consonant sound, the W, in that line forms a rhythm of its own, in addition to all the other rhythms that are going on in the music. So it's an effective use that is not exclusive to the Doors whatsoever. So I'll bring this up in other analyses. Okay, so about the instruments before we get to the actual notes. I already mentioned the upright bass. Okay, some of the other instruments are a little odd. Okay, which is what we might expect from a song with strange in the title, right? So the keyboard player, Manzarek, plays electric organ and tack piano. Okay, what's tack piano? Well, it's an upright piano with actual thumbtacks stuck in to the soft felt hammers that strike the strings. Okay, actually, I've got a picture of it over here. Look at this if you can. Let me make this a little bigger if it's not clear. But, okay, you can see the keys down here. That's where you press, right? And then there's a lever mechanism that causes these felt hammers to go and strike the strings. And then you can see someone has come along. They don't make them this way. You have to do it yourself. And inserted just pressed thumbtacks into the felt hammers. When they strike the strings, and the strings are metallic as well, you get a metallic kind of bright, shiny sound. Okay, so that matters. It changes the sound of the typical piano. It cuts a little bit through the texture, through the other instruments a little more. And where have you heard this? You've probably heard it in Hollywood westerns. Okay, it's in the saloon, playing. Probably not the primary thing, but during the loud speaking and goings on in a saloon. Okay, furthermore, Krieger's electric guitar is not distorted. It's clean, but there are effects here. Okay, the primary one, at least what I can tell, is called chorus. Okay, the effect is a little unnerving every time you hear it. Okay, it has a stereotypically psychedelic sound, for it modulates the pitch just ever so slightly, and it seems like it's out of tune. Not horribly, just a little bit. Okay. Furthermore, Krieger's guitar parts are in 2 layers, really. There's a lower part that forms more of a bass line, and an upper part which is more just short chords. Okay, so he plays, but that's played on one guitar. He has a second guitar he adds at other places, but throughout the song he's playing 2 layers at once, which is not that difficult to do if you do it correctly, but it's a pleasure to listen to. Okay, so it's not strange, but it's certainly more intricate than most rock guitar playing that's far less intricate, right? Okay, he also adds several little glissandos and bent pitches, right? So this is a keyboard, it's a piano here. There, I'm bending the sound with the keyboard device, which you can't do on piano, but that's okay. With guitar, you pluck the string and then move the string a little with your finger, and you get the pitch sliding up and down ever so slightly. Okay, that's also not strange for rock music in general, but in this song, we can interpret it rather easily, I think, as an element of being strange, right? It's just a little off from the primary pitch. Okay, so the other strange thing about the song, before I get to the actual notes, is that we hear a lot of silence in the music. Okay? Several moments. I lost count of how many. It's something like 6. Okay? This is not typical. In fact, it's hard to overstate just how rare silence is in most rock and pop music. It's as if the songwriters were afraid that people would, immediately reach out and change the radio dial if they heard a moment of silence, right? And we should ask why. What's going on? Why is it in this song? What effect does it have overall? Okay, so the music keeps pausing. It seems to be uncertain that it wants to go on, in fact. So I find the use of it here being as if our singer is suddenly struck by strangeness while walking around in public. Okay? Such that his thoughts are momentarily derailed, stopped, as you try to deal with the strange moment, right? The music keeps coming back until it ends, of course. But look, silence overall in music in general, right, seems to function in 3 ways. We often hear silence as a break after a section has completed. Okay, it's like clearing the air. No problem, right? So it emphasizes that was an ending, and here we go, you're about to hear it beginning. Secondly, if it interrupts the flow of the music, in the middle of a section somewhere, and that's what we have here, it does so in order to highlight something. Okay, so when it does, then it's either going to highlight what just happened, or what's about to happen. Right? The silence will be interruptive. You will ideally perk up and say, where'd it go? Lean in a little bit, and then you're rewarded with something new, something surprising, or in this case, in this song, I think you're supposed to reflect on the words you just heard. So often we hear silence after the words, when you're strange, right? Oh, so that's our title. That's our title text. Yes, that's important. Okay, so let's look at a little bit of what I mean by that. Over here in my people are strange examples, I've got a section from the chorus here. Faces come out in the rain. Oh, pardon the singing. I am not a good singer. I play piano, a little bit of guitar, but appreciate Morrison's voice even better after you hear mine. Anyway, so that's part of the chorus. And then When You're Strange appears in just as a solo, a vocal solo, right after that here, right? Here we go. Faces stand out in the rain when you're strange. Right there. Well, right after rain and before the vocal solo, we get in the piano, it could be organ, guitar, and bass as well, followed by silence. Okay, now I don't know what you know about music notation, but these little squiggles, okay, with or without the dots, is the musical notation for rests, just silence in your part or everyone's part. And in the box, I'm showing that everyone has a rest right there, okay? And then the band continues to, not play when Morrison comes in with a vocal solo, right? When you're strange, and it stands out. So why should it stand out? Well, it's what he just said, right? Faces come out in the rain. He might as well have said faces stand out in the rain, right? So that's, the best, or the first, I think, and best example, because it happens maybe 3 times or more, of silence in this song, that sort of interrupts the music, but in a way that highlights the text that comes right before and right after. Okay, so let's get back to the analysis here. There are relatively strange harmonic progressions along the way. Now, I can imagine stranger songs and stranger harmonies. Okay, the harmonies in the song all have names that we can, easily label. But for the most part, or should I say for the verse, the first thing we hear, Krieger is playing what we call the primary chords in E minor. In fact, it's a scale called E harmonic minor. And it's just, E minor, A minor, and B dominant 7. Okay? The primary chords used in many, many styles of music all over the world. Okay? Nothing strange about that. So our verse is harmonically simple. The strangeness then begins in the chorus. Okay? The rest of the band comes in. It was just Krieger and Morrison at the beginning, and we hear other harmonies. So the faces stand out in the rain. Well, let's see. When you're strange, the beginning of the chorus. When you're strange is what we call B dominant 7. Okay? Faces stand out in the rain. When you're strange, back to that. So it's the combination of these chords. It's the succession of these two chords that don't really belong together, that make the song a little, strange. Okay, it catches your ear. The G major chord on its own sounds great, right? And it actually comes from a scale called E natural minor. But it comes right after B dominant 7, which comes from B harmonic minor. So these two chords don't really go that well typically together. Yet here they are. Okay? They must have known that. Okay? I don't know how much music theory our songwriters had here, but whatever they had, they knew that these two chords both sound good on their own, but together, not quite. If you look at my harmonic reduction here, let me show you exactly what it is about these chords that is a little weird. The D sharp in our B dominant 7 chord goes to a D natural in the G chord. There's the D sharp, here's the D, right? That usually doesn't happen, okay? The D sharp should go to E, and it does in other times in the song. And you've heard it go to E in other songs, whether you know it or not, hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Okay, so when you hear the song, though, how strange does it really sound? I'm about to play a little bit of it, and note how our bass player adds a little connective tissue. So only the bass player with a quick little step down connects those two chords, and then on the way back up connects the two chords again and again, right? So they do try to add some connective tissue there. All right, let's listen to that. And, how strange is it really?
Before funny strange when you're
So
strange.
let's go back to the beginning, and this is the verse. So remember, nothing weird about the verse, just chords we would expect, the primary chords in E minor.
When you're a stranger, faces look ugly. When you're alone, women seem wicked. When you're unwanted, streets are uneven. When
Here we
you're
go.
down,
B.
when you're strange,
G.
faces come out of the
B7.
rain. When you're strange,
G.
no one remembers your
B7.
name. When you're strange, when you're strange, you're strange.
And then we're on to verse 2. Okay, so again, while these harmonies are not wildly dissonant, and they are related in a certain way that I could get into another time, they're supposed to sound a little disjunct right next to each other, and I think it works. It conveys some strangeness. Okay, so let's get to the melody. From measure 1 and in nearly every measure of the song, I'm going to argue that the rhythm of the vocal line, and that it appears in other parts as well, imparts strangeness. Okay, it's there in almost every measure, and if you look the song up, you're going to find different versions of the sheet music, different time signatures. Sometimes written in 4/4, sometimes written in something called 12/8, but it really should be written in 12/8. We have what's called here compound meter. Okay, fancy term, I know. It means the beat is divided into 3. Okay, let's have a little tutorial about that before we move on. And let me go to another page here. This is called my big book of musical examples, which I'm compiling every day. But okay, what is compound meter? This is essential to understanding the song. Let me start with what is not compound meter. Okay, it's called simple meter. Wait a minute, there I am. Okay, it's called simple meter when the beat divides into 2. Okay, think of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Okay, the twink of twinkle and the lit of little are the accented syllables, right? That they get more emphasis when you say twinkle, right? It's twinkle, not twinkle. So the beginning of twinkle, and little for that matter, are placed on the beat and properly, effectively in that song. Okay, so that's the beat dividing into 2. We see what are called eighth notes here, and they're connected with this little beam here to show that they group together, okay, into one beat. Okay, now look at compound meter, at least a snippet of a song that most of us know. It's in the middle of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Okay, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack, right? I don't care if we ever get back. You know the song. What's going on here? The natural accent of the syllables is every 3. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack, right? Okay, so my little arrows here are showing that our beat begins with those accented syllables, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. And buy me some has, well, 3 syllables, and so does peanuts and. Okay, so that's another way to divide the beat. It could be 2, it could be 3. Now, you could have both in a song, but for the most part, it's one or the other. Okay? In the Doors song, then, we have compound meter throughout. The beat is always divided into 3. Now, this exact rhythm in which you hear all 3 divisions of the beat almost never happens in the song, though. What you do hear is, well, what I explain here next. Okay, so it's easy to hear peanuts and, or buy me some, and peanuts and I'm saying here's how they combine, right, into 3 eighth notes. all beamed together, grouped together, so the eye can easily see that this is a beat. Okay? But what else adds up to 3? Well, how about 2 plus 1? Okay? Crackerjack. Okay, those are not even. Crackerjack, right? The crack is longer than cur. Crackerjack, right? Okay, in fact, it's twice as long. So, 2/8 notes add up to a quarter note. Okay? But a quarter note is not yet 3/8 notes. You need the 3rd eighth note here to complete that beat. So cracker is 1 beat. And it looks like this on the page though, quarter followed by eighth. They are not beamed together. The 8th note can't beam to a quarter note. The quarter note doesn't have little flags hanging off it. So it's not immediately clear to the eye on the page sometimes when you have the 2 plus 1 division here that those belong together, but that is the case in compound meter. Okay? So what about jack? Well, jack is the beat not dividing. It's just jack. It's right on the beginning of the beat and it lasts 3/8 notes long. Okay, so when we combine 3/8 notes, it adds up to something called the dotted quarter note. Okay, so in just these 2 measures here, and take me out to the ball game, we have the beat dividing into 3 parts, 3 even parts, right? 2 plus 1, as well as not dividing. Okay, in this song, 98% of the rhythms are exactly this. Okay, one of these possibilities here. So that's compound meter. Now there are other possibilities that I'm going to get to when we talk about some other songs coming up. But it's these 3 right here. Mostly, that's what you're going to see with compound meter. Okay, so back to People Are Strange. The beat is clear in the song because the band is playing on it squarely. Okay? Krieger, for the most part, and then the bass player and the drummer and Manzarek are always articulating the beats in the measure. Great. What makes the song strange, however, and I don't know how strange it really is, it's not that, it's not, they didn't invent this, is something called syncopation. Okay, what's going on is Morrison is anticipating music that could come on the beat, and by pushing it early a little bit into the previous beat. Okay? And it's not just early, it's at the expense of the next beat. So what I mean is, instead of people are strange, when you're a stranger. Okay? This is everything on the beat. And dividing in between the beat evenly. What Morrison does is bring most of it, not all of it, but most of those beats a little early to where they're going to happen just before my claps. Check it out. My claps are going to be on the beat, but many, not all, but many things are going to happen just before the claps. Okay? People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Did you hear it? Think about, listen, just one measure again. Ugly. Okay? It starts on the beat. Faces and look are on the beat. Faces look. No problem. That's not syncopation yet. Now, I'm going to push, just following Morrison's lead, I'm going to push ugly a little earlier to where it does come just before my claps. Okay? Faces look ugly when you're alone. In fact, alone was also syncopated. Okay, so that's what's going on in my little chart here. My arrows are showing you all of the rhythms that happen a little early. Okay? People are strange. Right? Strange happened just before the clap. It could have been. People are strange. The song would be similar. It might have still been a big hit. It's better this way. Okay? By Morrison bringing some of the text in a little early at the expense of the following beat, right? The band is going to play on the next beat, but he's coming in early. He sounds a little disjunct. Okay, a little out of phase with the melody. Okay, why? Why do we want this? Right? What is it doing? Why is it in this song? Well, he feels alienation. He's not happy about this strangeness, right? He doesn't fit in. And more than half of his vocal line then doesn't quite fit in when it could, when it would have been really easy to have put those things exactly on the beat. Okay, so let's hear him do it. Okay, right away from measure one, this starts happening. Thought I clicked it.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain.
Okay, so I'll stop there. I hope you could hear it. In addition to the little examples I've got here, did you hear it again with women seem wicked, right? Women seem wicked. Both syllables of wicked are just before my claps, all right? Syncopation. Now, as I mentioned, the Doors didn't invent this. This is in lots of styles of music. This goes back to sacred music of the 14th century. And I'm sure much before that, okay? Goes back to African drumming. No, I mean this is standard human activity. But when done well, okay, it can be the most appropriate thing in a song, or for the setting of the text for a song. Okay, those of you who follow my other analyses will see this keeps coming back. Okay, so there's the syncopation. Let's move on. What's next in the song? Well, it's the guitar solo. No, wait, let's not get there yet. Let's talk about what happens at the end of the chorus. In fact, I was almost there. Here, let's listen.
When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
Wait, again. There. Okay, so the end of the chorus, our word is strange. Okay, we've heard that before. He says it 3 times, and the 3rd time he slides down from it. When you're strange, right? Okay, that in itself is a little strange that he's, sliding between pitches, but it's not that bad, right? We've heard that in lots of songs. What I'm getting at is that from that note, that A, okay, is a little dissonant in that harmony. This is a B harmony, B, and then it goes from B to A. What should happen? It should go to G. Okay? And not just that, it doesn't go to G. Okay? What happens? People are strange. He jumps somewhere else after that. He leaves a dissonance hanging in the air. Okay? More than that. Okay? The note before strange. When you're strange. This is a high D sharp. Okay? In the key of E minor. This note usually goes up to E. Sorry about the voice, guys. Okay? But do you hear it? The energy in that note. The D sharp goes up to E. Yeah, it should. You've heard it go there. In that chord, in the succession of that chord and the chord following it, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times in your life. Okay, whether you know it or not, whether you can give it a label or not, whether you know it or not, you expect it. Okay, Morrison doesn't go up to E there. He ends up down with a low E with another. People are strange there. Both these notes at the end of the chorus are exposed and left hanging there as dissonances. Okay? He could have resolved the dissonance, and it would have been nice, I suppose. but it's not that kind of song. Okay? I'm arguing that this is more appropriate for that moment. Okay, so moving on. There's a second chorus. I'm sorry, a second verse. That's what he just started here. And let's listen. The rest of the band is in here. Check out the tech piano here. We have chords in the piano, and it's a little brighter. Listen to the slightly metallic sound.
When you're a stranger, faces look ugly. When you're alone.
There's also organ there, so Manzarek, it was playing two instruments at once, or most likely separate tracks. But here we go.
Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're.
Okay, what comes after the chorus? Sorry, what comes after the verse? I gave it away. We've been told what happens after the verse. We get the chorus. What does happen? Guitar solo. Okay, so while it's not unheard of for the guitar solo to replace a chorus, it's going to stick out a little bit in your mind because it what's the word? Violated expectations. You were told. Verse, chorus. Here's second verse. You can only expect the second chorus and you don't get it. All right, so we get a guitar solo. What's going on here? Well, a few things that I think you'd like to know about. Guitar solos often feature bent pitches in many styles of rock music. Okay? Whether moving up and down the neck with your left hand or actually pushing the string up and down to make the string more or less tense to change the pitch. That's not strange. But as I mentioned before, in this song, we instantly interpret it as something's not right, as strangeness. Okay? Listen to that first sound again. What we get is an A going up to a B flat and back down to A. Here. Something more like that, right? Sounds better on the guitar. But if you can look at my notation here, this is the guitar part on top. There are several what we call glissandos, right? From lower to high pitches. Sometimes the glissando, the string bend is only a little ways. Sometimes it's a lot longer. And there are more. This is not the whole solo. There are more after this. Okay, so at least that makes it sound a little off, as if our singer, now wordlessly through the guitar, is trying to fit in and cannot. So here we go again. There's another one of those strange silences that seem to stop the momentum. Anyway, let me point out one more thing that's going on in our guitar solo here that has to do with the upright bass part that I think will make you hear the song better. The upright bass does not play every pitch its full value connecting to the next one. Okay? What's going on? Well, we have a B, and then an F sharp, and then a B, and then an A. Okay, all these things here. But in between them, there is a little bit of silence. Okay, so it's the 2/3 to 1/3 ratio again. 2/3 of the beat is this low B, and then the bass player just lets go and moves to the next pitch. But no sound in between. And the same thing as he jumps to B, and then A, and then these two are connected. Okay, so rather than a long pitch like that, he's separating them. That little bit of silence, okay? I know it's subtle, but just that little bit of silence right there lightens up the whole accompaniment, okay? And it features then, or it allows us to pay more attention to the guitar solo. Okay? Look, this is standard in jazz. and it's effective in jazz as well. The bass player, whose part is interesting, no doubt about it, but the bass player gets out of the way. The silences in there make the music less heavy, and it seems to then be a little more buoyant. It moves forward in time. Okay. Furthermore, the guitar part is even more, sparse. Okay, Manzarek has two. So I mean, Manzarek is playing something here, but Krieger's playing a second guitar part that's barely there. Just these little chords here. Um, Well, that sounds strange when I slow it down, and especially when I change the lead guitar to a vocal part. But the guitar part is barely there, right? Okay, so one more time through the guitar solo. Listen to how then the accompaniment stays out of the way and allows us to focus on the, strangeness that is the guitar solo. Here we go. Okay, so while I wish I could play it how it would be the other way, I guess I could jump in and ruin it like that. Why? I hope you can hear it. That it could have been more oppressive, the accompaniment. And some guitar solos, that's the problem. The bass player doesn't know how to get out of the way. Okay, that's not the case here. Okay, moving through the song, what happens after our guitar solo? You get the second verse, right? That which was replaced with the guitar solo returns, and, it's almost identical. There's a couple little changes. Almost identical to the first. Okay? So, let's listen to that.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange,
there's those silences again.
When you're strange, when you're strange.
Okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Piano solo. Okay. Manzarek's piano solo is based on the melody, right? Remember our melody? Right? That's what Morrison told us in measures 1 and 2. So while Manzarek could have done anything with his piano solo, and it probably would have been good, he's very good, what he does is play the melody in what are called parallel sixths. Okay, so it's not a single note, but he adds a sixth below. Okay, hear that lower note in addition to the melody note? Okay, that interval is called a sixth, and this is a good time to jump back to the big book of examples, if you don't mind, for a little explanation of what a sixth is, so you can better appreciate it here and also in other songs. So, where's my big book of musical examples? Let me get out of that and move on to, here we go, harmonic intervals. Okay, whenever we hear two pitches simultaneously, right, sounding at the same time, it's called harmony, and we describe the distance between those pitches as a harmonic interval. Okay, so we've got seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, you guessed it, sevenths, and strangely enough, not eighths, but octave, the Italian octave, rather than eighth. Okay, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, octave. Now, in this song, as in almost every song, we hear a combination of intervals, okay? Not just exclusively one or another. There's a famous thing which is called the double horn call. Okay, sixth, fifth, third. Okay, very beautiful, right? A combination of the different intervals. Well, sometimes we do hear parallel intervals, and some of them are more common than others. For example, parallel seconds sound terrible. Agreed? Good. They sound like a mistake. They sound like your cat is walking on the piano, right? Parallel thirds, very common. Very common. They sound great together, okay? Consecutive fourths, not so common. Sometimes. Okay, consecutive fifths, even less common. Yeah? Alright. Consecutive sixths, again, like thirds, very common. Here we go. Sorry, here it is. Yes, that's what Manzarek is doing in this song. Parallel sixths, okay? They always sound good. Let me quickly play the other two. Consecutive sevenths, no, very rare. Again, it sounds a little like a mistake, although there are times where it can be effective. And the other common one is that what we call octaves, just parallel octaves here. Okay, very common, powerful, very good. But it's the sixths here in People Are Strange. Where's my example? Here we go, at the bottom of the page here. So the melody with a lower note, it's 6 notes below, that's why we call it a sixth. Ready? And, oops, there's a sixth. I accidentally played a fifth in there. Okay, it gives the melody a little more color, and it makes the sound a little more full, a little more, well, a little more powerful. Manzarek, you can't sing two intervals or an interval. You can only sing one note at once. So when Manzarek, with his 10 fingers, can play more than one note at a time, he does here, and we have a melody that's related to the first, but it's got a little more color, richness to it. Okay. Finally, we have a third chorus. Okay, a final statement of the chorus. You remember, when you're strange, faces stand out in the rain. That, right? Okay, so it starts off just like the first two choruses. The ending is a little different. Okay, so if you were expecting a strange ending for a song about strangeness, yeah, you were right, and you're going to get it. Here we go. We hear the same sort of extension that we heard earlier. When you're strange, when you're strange. Morrison up there kind of stalled in the same place like he has been before, but instead of moving on then to the verse of the guitar solo as we heard before, right? The band cuts out, and Morrison jumps in alone by himself, a little vocal solo. And where are you? Example. I bet it's on my other page, which I better get here. There it is. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're rest. Strange. Okay, so while we should expect him to go back to strange, when you're strange, right after your, we just heard it twice. The third time, he withholds that sound. The whole band cuts out. We have a beat of silence. When you're strange, and then he does the same glissando down, B to A. Okay, so he delays it a little bit. It's ear-catching. but it's really not that new. He's done it before. Okay? But what we do get then is just our guitar player, Krieger, jumping in with a B dominant 7 chord. Ready? So this, while Morrison glissandos down. So strange! But what Krieger does then is glissando some, but not all, of the notes up by a half step, and we end up getting this sound. Okay, so he starts on this and moves up and leaves it there. Okay, so we have a very dissonant harmony to end the song with Why Not? Okay? In the end, our singer, our protagonist, has not learned, has not grown, has not become accustomed or to the people, the strange people, or his own strangeness, whatever is really going on here, and it's still strange. Okay, our study in strange is not resolved. The singer has not completely resolved his problems. So instead of, we get a little bit of that in there, okay? Except Morrison goes down to A. So the chord at the very end is that. Here's the voice and here's the guitar. Here's the voice. Yeah. Okay, it's a mess. And they leave us with that. We get silence and the end of the song. Okay? In my little example here, you can see how these little wavy lines mean the guitar is supposed to move up. Again, he doesn't move every string up, every pitch up, because he's got an open string in there that doesn't move when you, well, move your fingers up the neck of the instrument. And we find out in the end it was a strange experience, it was a strange dream or something all along, okay? It's horribly dissonant. Not so much that you cover your ears, but, you know, it's more than what we heard earlier in the song. And this is extremely rare, okay, for popular music of any style. It does happen occasionally. I must admit that the band decides, hey, let's just be weird at the end, okay? And I have no doubt that was in their thinking somewhere for the end of this song. However, because of the subject matter here, it's entirely appropriate. In fact, I'd rather hear this than, ready? When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Yeah. Okay, that would have worked, but how disappointing, right? Especially when I'm singing it, right? Our singer is still mired in this state or drug trip or location, wherever we really are here, of uncertainty. Okay? Now, sadly, Morrison never really gets out of it. He dies 5 years later, and it wasn't natural causes. So that's sad to think of what they could have accomplished after that. But and that that makes me think that this song tends to be autobiographical. Okay, now don't fall into that trap. Not every song is autobiographical. The singer is not always giving you a look into his or her soul, some life experience. Often, yes, they are. Okay, some of the best are when they are, but at least in this case, I think it is. Okay, and we can determine that it's at least not easy being a stranger. Okay, and oh, those wicked women when you're unwanted. What's a boy to do? So, thank you for joining me. The next time you hear the song, I hope you can remember some of those things, enjoy the song a little more, and if you can, retain some of those concepts and apply them to other songs in which you think those same kind of things are in there, then you're enjoying music more. And I couldn't recommend that more. Bye, everybody.